Tommy, a true native of Jupiter, after proudly graduating from Jupiter High in 2007, go Warriors, you ventured up to Orlando to pursue a psychology degree at UCF, go Knights. After immersing yourself in the academic realm of psychology, you embarked on a unique journey that eventually led you to your current path. After earning your degree in 2011, you took a different route before transitioning into ZikFit in 2014. You ventured into various roles, delivering pizzas, valeted parking cars, and even worked in the mental health field after juggling 2 of these 3 jobs and working tirelessly, sometimes 7 days a week. With certifications from the National Academy of Sports Medicine as a personal trainer and Corrective Exercise Specialist, your thirst for enlightening and uplifting others spurred you to publish not 1 but 2 health and motivational based books. As if that weren't enough, you've delved into freelance writing for local publications before your business experienced exponential growth. You're a beacon of empowerment and discipline, seamlessly integrating your passion for educating with your commitment to nurturing others. Additionally, your dedication extends to the martial art of Wing Chun, a testament to your multifaceted pursuits. As you stride into your 9th year of business, a college scholarship program, and the addition of like-minded individuals to your team exemplify your wavering dedication to create a positive impact. But what I want to know is, do you think you are creative?
Yeah, I'd say everybody's a little creative if they take the time to delve into it. You know, everybody has their own gift. Some are teachers, some are musicians, some are writers. You know, everybody's got a little bit, but I would say I definitely consider myself creative. From a young age, I'd always say wouldn't go at a problem, a certain, like the way that you're always told. I'd always look for another route. You know what I mean? It's always good to have backup plans, or it's always good to look outside the box at stuff. So whether it's become martial arts or just, I think any entrepreneur is creative. You create something, it's like your own baby. You know, you create something from your mind. I used to do hip hop dance back in the day.
So I totally forgot about that.
So lots of different things. So I think there's music's a creative angle, writing's a creative angle. So I find creativity in all different ways. I think if people just find their own way, sometimes they can surprise themselves. I think somebody who's not creative might be creative in ways they don't even realize.
Exactly. I mean, even you, I think you just said it best. I mean, just like approaching a problem, a situation, a conflict, and instead of like facing it head on, I mean, just how to even just approach it in different ways. But that really kind of comes with mentality and mental toughness and just kind of all the discipline behind that as well. But I mean, besides that, growing up, were you kind of always into the athletics and sports? I mean, because where you are now in your career, that's pretty much, with personal training. You've written 2 books. Are you doing much of hip hop dancing too these days, or
not as much as I'd like to? Unfortunately, that was back in more college days and when I lived up in Orlando. But still, definitely something I love and everything like that. Whether it's just listening to hip hop on the radio or just in a different city, just part of my life wherever I go. Hip-hop's always going to be there, part of me. Definitely part of the fun that I had in college, meeting some good people, making some good memories and stuff like that. But as far as the athletics and stuff, that's how I knew when it was time to create ZikFit. It was a no-brainer to switch fields from psychology to fitness, because from as long as I can remember, JTA baseball over at JCP, 3 years of baseball growing up, then basketball at JTA. So it's always been Jupiter sports growing up. And then college intramurals, you name it, I've tried it. Every kind of sport pretty much you can give me. Weightlifting, starting when I was in high school, like 16 years old, always done that. So it's always part of my, it's always been there for me. It's a good stress reliever. It's a good, builds character. It definitely gives you a good routine. And it's just there for you whenever you need to, you build your body up, but you also build your mind up too. Sports can give you so much team. You meet so many good people. It gives you lots of life lessons. So I think everybody should definitely play sports or definitely have some kind of physical activity in their life.
So what brought you to Orlando? College, obviously, right?
So I graduated from high school in 2007 from Jupiter High, and then I went to UCF 07 to 2011. At first, I wanted to do elementary education. Wanted to be an elementary school teacher. Did that for 1 semester.
What brought you to that? What was?
Always loved kids. When I was in high school, before I graduated, I was an aftercare counselor at my elementary school. So always liked being around kids. Instead of being a teacher, I switched to psychology, and I wanted to do marriage and family therapy. So even then, I still wanted to help families, be around children, help just like the family structure and everything like that. And then even when I switched to ZikFit, I still get to do the therapy. I still get to be a teacher, with the books and stuff. I still get to reach children and stuff like that. I used to have my ZikFit Kids Boot Camp for years, where I used to have kids come Saturday mornings and do boot camp and stuff like that. So
Was ZikFit kind of always in the pipeline of like your thoughts and stuff too, as you're in college studying and stuff? Not at all.
no, I wanted to have my own private practice for marriage and family therapy. So I thought I was going to be a therapist for my whole life. And then after graduating with my degree, I'd work a couple side jobs along the way. And then I finally got into this one mental health clinic that was... The teachers always said if you wanted experience, go to that place, and I got a job there, and there's plenty of experience to be had there. And I did it for 2 years, very thankful for it, learned lots of life lessons, very humbling, met some amazing people, worked with some tough demographics, like people that were have the worst of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they still keep a positive attitude, so they taught me to have a positive attitude. You know what I mean? Like, they teach you that whatever you're going through is not bad compared to what they've gone through. You know what I mean? So, like, there's always somebody that's going through it. And so I was doing that. And then if you don't go to grad school for psychology, then your bachelor's isn't going to get you very far. So on top of what I was already doing, I would have had to add grad school on top of it, and it wasn't going to happen. So I knew I had to pivot somehow. And I figured moving back to Jupiter. And then I figured fitness and athletics has always been in my life. So personal training, but I didn't want to just be another personal trainer, like where you just go in, see your client. There's plenty. You know what I mean,
Right.
But I also want to reach. I can't reach everybody just by doing that. Not everybody's going to come to the gym. So
Yeah.
books are there, public speaking. So that's how ZikFit started being born. I was like, I need a brand. So I started a blog. I started writing a blog twice a week to get ready for the books, and I started getting the apparel out there, and it all just started becoming something.
I mean, all
but
that
day one when
yeah.
I knew I was going to do it, ZikFit became like the thing.
It probably just hit you like a freight train, right?
Yeah, I remember like when it happened and everything. Like I remember all of it coming together. It all just came in like one moment.
all those building blocks from just like
Yeah.
all those odd jobs of just working hard. I mean, just like what was it? You were working probably like 2 to 3 jobs.
Yeah. So after like you think you get a degree and you get a job right out of, you know what I mean?
That's
Like,
what they tell
here's
you.
your degree.
Yeah.
But no, after I got out of UCF, it was either move home or work until you got a psychology job. So I was delivering pizzas for a year or so. And then I was also valeting cars. So 6 or 7 days a week I was in a car. I was either delivering pizzas in my own car or I was parking other people's cars.
How was valeting? I almost worked a valet job, but I was like, I had everything. I was talking to the lady. I was pretty stoked. I was just like, yeah, I work hard, whatever. It's kind of saying the whole 9 yards, just kind of get the job at the time. And then she's like, great, yeah, you free this weekend? Of course, sweet. And yeah, obviously you know how to drive stick, right? I'm like, no. I should have lied and said yes and just learned, but she's just like, you don't know how to drive stick? I'm like, no. She's like, okay, call me back when you do. And then I just never did. But so you obviously know how to drive stick.
My roommate that got me the job taught me how to drive stick on his Supra Turbo the night before I got the job. So we told the people I knew how to drive.
Yeah. Okay.
He took me out in his Turbo that he loved. This guy would clean his... I don't know how he trusted me to... This is like... He loved this car. He still has it probably. Loves that car more than life itself. And he took me out in Orlando and he let me drive. I was rough. I was like awful with that thing.
He probably saw
all
your
night.
determination where you just like...
And I got that job and I was on... Yeah.
First day good?
Oh, I don't know. I worked there for a year though, but I mean, I survived on stick. I learned how to do it like as I went. Another thing, that's like me. If I don't know how to do it, I'll learn on the way.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can always just take what I have and I'll just work. I mean, I'll just grow from there. But I did the pizza and the valet, and then I got the mental health clinic job. So I dropped the pizza and I was doing valet and mental health clinic. So I would work 8 hours.
Yeah.
Switch into valet, and I'd go run cars till 10 p.m.
So
the
mental health clinic, just walk me through that a little bit from just like day one to kind of like your last day, like a little bit of a synopsis. I mean, just going in there, did you kind of know what to expect, that it was going to be something very different from a normal job? Or did you know you're going to get as much experience that you have now today?
It's one of those jobs where you can think you're prepared, and then as soon as you go into it, you're like, okay, this is what it's going to be. So each day you go, it's not a boring job because every day is going to be different. So I worked outpatient in a four-story building, outpatient. So the patients are coming to see their doctor. So they're all different demographics. These people are either homeless or they live in group homes, or maybe maybe they're independent, but they are still coming to see their doctor for their medication. So they could be schizophrenic, bipolar, all kinds of stuff. So I'm working with this. I'm like 23, 24 at the time. You know what I mean? So I'm just getting my feet wet. And these people are severely mentally ill, and I'm just dealing with it. And like I said, I learned a lot about life and about people. And it was very much like what the teacher said. If you want experience and if you want to learn, that's the place to go. So it was never a boring job. It could be a very tame day, or somebody could be needing restraint, and I had to get involved in stuff like that. So you just never knew what it was going to be like.
How so? I also want to respect the privacy of these people and stuff too. But kind of like what do you mean, like as far as like restraint though?
Like if a doctor decided that the person was going to be a harm to themselves or others if they left, they're not allowed to legally leave. So there would be like a behind the scenes call that this person's going to get restrained. And if they go, some people want to go get helped.
Yeah.
And like, can you help me? I don't want to hurt myself or something, but people also don't agree, and they're going to be stuck for 24 to 72 hours until they see a doctor. And they're like, I can't stay here. I got kids at home and they're ready to fight you. So Tommy comes in, 24-year-old Tommy's taking his watch off. And he's in his button down, ready to get down. I wish I knew some martial arts back then, because that definitely would have helped me back then.
So what was your approach? Were you kind of like, were you trying to use your words a little bit?
Always de-escalate first. But if they are coming at you, you guys just use your numbers, and you have to get the person back and get them handled.
Were anybody trying to use their words to you as far as just like someone very slick and sly with their tongue, as far as just like,
it's not slick at all. It's very blatant. They don't want to be held there, so they just use every word they have against you. You're to them, you're just taking them from their light.
Yeah,
they're holding you, but we're trying to help you, but they don't see that.
Yeah,
they're just letting it fly.
I believe so many people, and I give like too much of the benefit of the doubt too sometimes, where I could probably, that's why I'd be like the worst cop in the world, pull somebody over. It's just like, oh, you won't do it again? Sure, go right ahead. Yeah, I won't catch you.
Tough job.
Yeah, but it probably built a lot and gave you so much building tools, blocks, or whatever the freaking phrases are these days that kind of take with you. What was your last day like there, though?
Oh my God, my favorite client, this one lady was there, Miss Darlene, and she had this country accent, sweet lady, and she would always have to come see me in the office, even if she didn't have an appointment to see me and stuff like that. And she made me buy her, she's like, can you have lunch? I won't do her accent. She had the best accent. But she asked me to have lunch with her in the cafeteria there. And this lady, when she isn't on her medication, is like severely mentally ill. But when she's doing her therapy and her medication, she's like the sweetest lady, right? Mm-hmm. So we're getting lunch, and I go to pay for it ever, and she's still at the lunch line. She's like, aren't you going to pay for my food too? Like, she's like we'd become friends. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't see me as like a employee anymore. She saw somebody that she could eat lunch with, and these people don't have that. You know what I mean? They either just go back to their group home, but I became somebody that, I remember one day I was having a bad day and I didn't have my typical smile on, and this lady walked by and she's like, why aren't you smiling like always? You know what I mean? And I'm like, just having a bad day. And she's like, well, you need to, you know what I mean? Like, they know this, you know what I mean? Like, so just different things. They gave me life lessons and stuff like that.
Would a lot of them open up to you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Even when they didn't need to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, I just needed your vitals. Or I just needed to get like some quick info, and they'll just like act like you're the doctor, and they tell you stuff that they don't tell anybody.
Yeah. So your last day there, and then you coming back to Jupiter, right?
Yep.
So coming back to Jupiter, what was your next move? Because you knew you had. I like the way you kind of preface it, where you're just like, psychology, in order to kind of do this career, more schooling, and you kind of have a realization like maybe I should pivot. But you come back to Jupiter. Was personal training the first thing on the mind coming back to Jupiter, or just trying to come home?
But I didn't know Zikfit yet.
Yeah.
I knew personal training, so I went to the gym that I eventually was at, and I was like, hey, if I go get certified in the next, it could take like 6 to 12 months, but I was like, I knew I was only going to be like, you know what I mean? So I was like going to be on like this is what I'm going to be doing. So I was just like on this course all the time. And I was like, if you give me X amount of months, will you still give me a job? They like pretty much said, yeah, we'll give you I thought it was pretty nice, because when you get out of school, sometimes a lot of jobs are like, oh, you need 2 years experience. Like, I just got out. I have 2 years experience. So these people were like, I didn't even have the job. I didn't have the certification yet. Yeah, go get certified, come back, and and they did. And I worked there for 2 years. I built up my, but while I was doing that, I was also writing the blog, and I was saying how I didn't want to just be another trainer. I want to have the brand and stuff like that. So while I was getting certified, I was like, there needs to be something bigger than this. So books can do that. Public speaking can do that. So there's something starting, and then once ZikFit clicked, it kind of all just started coming together.
As you are doing the personal training route, you were writing simultaneously, too, for blogs and
the blogs were to get ready for the book,
right? Okay,
and to build an audience and to practice writing because I hadn't written anything since college, so I was kind of rusty. I was always a good writer, self-taught pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Teachers always liked my writing and stuff like that, so I knew I was a good writer. I'd help kids write and stuff like that. If they needed help writing, I would always proofread people's stuff for them. So I knew I had.
That's dope. Yeah, a gift.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just wrote 2 blogs a week, no matter what was going on, whether I was traveling, whether I was sick.
How long were the blogs were? Like
at least like worth the read. You know what I mean? Like a whole page.
Okay.
Not a paragraph.
Yeah.
Like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Like informative or my opinion. It was like it was like a really good thing. And that was twice a week. Eventually my schedule started getting busier at the gym I was at, so it went down to once a week. But once the honing of the writing was there, once I had a lot of content, the book started coming together. And then I added client testimonials are in there, and then just some personal stories from friends and clients back then, how ZikFit and knowing Tommy kind of improved them and stuff like that, or helped
So
them.
as you're kind of doing the blog post and personal training, the passion within you to kind of begin your own personal brand and journey was kind of starting, or did you always kind of have that pre-notion going into it? Because as far like some people kind of have these ideas as they're going through the motions. I know the way kind of you are and the way that you think in exactly how you said it before. I mean, if there's a problem at hand or something in front, I'm not going to kind of go at face value. I'm going to kind of think of as many kind of creative options and creative ways to go about it as well to kind of get to the results that best fit my needs as well. So when doing personal training and kind of simultaneously blog posting and doing these write-ups, did you always kind of know, was the plan ZikFit all along?
At that point, yes.
Okay.
While I was doing the studying for the course, ZikFit popped in my mind. I just needed to start figuring out how to make apparel. You know what I mean? I had to go to school for entrepreneurship or marketing. So so I had to start doing all the behind the scenes stuff that you know about, like creating a logo. I did that on Word. You know what I mean? The day I made ZikFit, I made a logo on Word myself. You know what I mean? I started making a website myself. I started doing all this stuff. So when I got the job, I was there all day. They loaded me up with clients because the trainer had just left. So I'm a new trainer who had only ever trained with like buddies of mine who, you know what I mean? I knew how to train with 20-year-olds, but I never worked with a 93-year-old. I never worked with this 70-year-old guy with heart conditions. This job was so cool because it let me work with all these different kinds of stuff that I never got to do. So while I'm doing that they just like loaded me with all these people. If I had a half-hour break, I'm in that back room
building your
writing
business.
A blog.
Yeah.
I'm across the street at the T-shirt shop looking through their catalog.
Yeah.
I want this kind of a polo instead of the baggy shirt. You know what I mean? Like I was making all my little things, my flyers for the boot camp back then. You know what I mean? Like whatever was going on, if I had time, if I was in the shower and I thought of a book or a blog idea, I hopped out of the shower, typed it, wrote it down, recorded it. I was like,
so
jumped out of bed, write down blog ideas.
The first initial thought though for ZikFit, take me through that thought process, because I don't know what the statistic is, but I heard it's just a lot of pre-notion thoughts. Everyone's always using their brain in so many different ways, but I forgot what the quote is about just thoughts and ideas can be shit unless they're executed properly, but how to execute the right thoughts that are not going to waste your time. I'm rambling at this point. I'm trying to find kind of the way I'm trying to word this exactly right. Trying to find the words.
I don't know the exact quote, but I know you're trying to say like you can have as many thoughts as you want, but if you don't put execution to it or like actually put like step A, how do I do this? Step B, how do I do this? Step C, it's just going to go on to your next.
So how did you know ZikFit was the one you wanted to execute? Rather than just kind of self-doubt, because as confident as you are with your ideas and your personality with people, how did it just happen where you're just like, this is something that's good? Is it something that just stuck with you?
It was, you said it earlier, like kind of like blindsided me, like it kind of just like all came together. Like I remember sitting there studying and I was just like, it all came to me, like the logo popped in my head, the name popped in my head. the book idea popped in my head. Like everything just started like, do this, do this, do this. And it was just like, how can you reach people outside of a gym? Because you can't train every single person. Somebody in Germany might want to read your book. Or we have online training nowadays.
Yeah.
But what if you're already in good shape? What if you don't want to train with ZigFit? What if you could read? You might want to learn something. You know what I mean? Like I can give you a different, how can I reach people that don't want a trainer?
Because the whole journey of building your self brand now is so popular because I mean, even with we had with COVID and everyone locked in their house and now everyone became an influencer, everyone has a voice and everyone's using social media platforms to kind of bring their own story and their own life to light. What you decided to do immediately, you saw the value in that, like right away.
Plus this one lady at the first gym I was at, she was like a mom of 4 and she saw this like 25-year-old kid starting his own business and stuff. And I guess something stood out. It was another thing where this lady was already in like 6 shapes. She's like, she came up to me. She's like, I don't want a trainer, but I just need somebody. You look very organized and you look very, and she's like, can I just meet you somewhere for like 60 minutes and you can just help me get my schedule, my priorities, and this.
Oh,
woman,
like,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that was like, so I can use my psychology. I can use my organization. You know what I mean? So just, and that became like a whole thing with like almost like life coaching that I do. There's like a whole other part of ZigFit that does that transformation.
Yeah, dude, I can absolutely relate to that from just being a independent musician, using social media platforms to kind of promote the shows, but then really being very particular how you like things and how you want things as far as just like making the band flyers. And now you're kind of dipping into the graphic design, doing things with the match of color palette and really developing like these shows and like having like an opener and a middle and then kind of calling up the venue and setting up all these things too. And you're really kind of honing in on, you're wearing a bunch of different hats and honing on all these different skills. And then fast forward, I mean, that's kind of where really nothing negative kind of started kind of really birthing and showing more and more of being a creative company. But fast forward to you getting a little bit more different style of clients. I mean, besides used to training your friends that are like 22, 23-year-olds that are kind of already familiar with the gym, but you started having a bunch of different walks of life.
Yeah. So when you hear personal training and when you get into the courses and even when you talk to other trainers, it's a suggestion. It's not always like you have to do this, but a lot of people suggest that you find a niche. Mm-hmm. Like find just college athletes or find just the older demographic or find people who only want to lose weight or find only golfers or just find people who, but again, with ZigFit, I was kind of like, and it's ambitious, but I'm an ambitious person. So I was like, I want to help anybody. You know what I mean? Like anybody who wants to get better. You know what I mean? The whole better today than yesterday thing.
Is that where that came about?
Yeah, pretty much. But well, we can get into that too. But I just wanted to not. Why am I going to turn down a 70-year-old who want? Like right now, I just got this guy a few weeks ago. He's 75 years old. He's never worked out in a gym before, and he just wants to start working out now. He doesn't know what to do, so he's hired a trainer. And now he's learning all this stuff. He loves it, and he's coming in on his own now and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So if I was just training only people who play golf, I wouldn't have got that. You know what I mean? So I've never limited myself to. I do prefer young athletes or I mean somebody I can really push and like really
starting off is the best way. You have your huge net and you throw your net out and see what you catch, and then as you're doing that more and more and more, you kind of realize of how to pivot.
Correct,
as you said earlier. Yeah,
exactly. But then I've even came across people with like brain injuries or like you know what I mean. So I've come across people with disabilities. Like there's so many different people out there that need trainers or just want to improve. And
was any of that intimidating though? When kind of like having
that's what I was saying. I had only ever trained my buddies and who are all healthy and strong and then you work with somebody who is a fall risk or can't remember what they're doing 5 minutes before, or it's just there's so many different people out there. So why would I turn anybody? You know what I mean? I want to help as many people as I can. That probably comes from my psychology background or something like that. So if somebody wants to get better, I'll put my whole 110% into them.
Oh yeah. So I mean, between that and just getting more and more of these clients and then just being more comfortable with these type of people. So you've been doing that. What would you say? Like you were doing personal training for 2 years before you really went full force into ZigFit?
Yes. So while I was kind of building it in the background, I would say I did 2 years as an employee somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then I've been, ZigFit's been on its own, like as an independent company for almost 7 years now.
That's
so
incredible.
9 years almost total coming up.
Yeah. So I like to call it like the leap of faith, where it's like you have like a consistent paycheck, or you have like this consistent thing where you know that's there, and all you kind of got to do is show up and it'll be there. So when did you know the leap of faith was time for you to be like, you know what, I'm going to stop being an employee at this place and go full-fledged into my own thing?
So by 2 years, I had the kids' boot camp flyers were out. And this is not I'm so thankful for that first job because I wouldn't have gotten the experience and everything. But sometimes you just outgrow and it's just time to move on. So at this time, I had the flyers out. Members, trainers, employees had ZikFit apparel on. I had my book signing going on there, like my first book came out and stuff like that, and it was starting to rub the wrong way.
Okay.
So it was time to move on and do my own thing and become ZikFit on its own. So it's scary, like you said, the leap of faith.
But it happened organically then.
Correct.
Where it's just like,
it was time.
Yes. I mean, dude, I wear your tank top. I mean, I have like 3 tank tops, and when it's arm day, freaking throw that thing on. And I've had 2 people come up to me like, why have I heard of that before?
Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
so, I mean, when I could see that I can fill in the blanks a little bit where it's everyone's kind of book signing this, that the business is growing. And then it's like, hey, I mean, it's kind of,
it's like when your puppy grows out of his cage, you got to let him into a bigger, you know what I mean? You got to put him in the backyard or something. You know what I mean?
Or even a country singer, Zach Bryan. Have you heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, he was in the Navy. His grandfather was in the Navy. His mom was in the Navy. His dad was in the Navy. He was in the Navy. His words were like, "I'm gonna die in the Navy." And then he just posted a couple original songs of him just playing guitar, and then started going insanely viral, and then really, really viral, really started taking off, made a little bit of a record. That record did extremely well in streaming services. And he was loading missiles into freaking whatever they do in the Navy. I'm so uneducated on things. But he was faced with kind of a dilemma. It's like, hey, you got to pick one. You got to pick Navy or you got to pick this music thing because you're starting to get a lot of traction online and people are starting to kind of talk about you. So it was something that happened organically.
At least you got to do both, though.
Yeah.
You got to serve and he got to do that.
Yeah.
That's a cool story, though.
Yeah,
I didn't know that, but that's very cool. So, you just got to use your gift. Now you can put it out on social media, but still you got to use whatever you're good at or whatever makes you happy or whatever you want to wake up every day and do. Because you can get up and do anything and get money every day. You can rob a bank and get money. You know what I mean? Like anybody can get money, but do you like getting up and doing what you do every day or do you want to change that? You know what I mean? Like I loved the psychology job, but I could feel the burnout coming, or I knew that the extra course load that was going to come on top of it was going to be too much for me. You know what I mean? So I just knew then, but some people either might feel it's not the right time or they have too much on their plate, but sometimes there's just never a right time there's not going to be a right time always. Sometimes you just got to do it and just go for it. And I know that's easier said than done, but I just don't want to ever live with regret. What if?
Yeah.
So
exactly, and especially
I could still be at that mental health clinic I'd be there 11 years now, and who knows if I would still be happy or not. Probably not.
Yeah.
I'd probably just be a shell of myself.
Well, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, passion and just this flames really just started kind of igniting and like starting within you, and it just kind of came out a certain way, and then you grabbed it immediately. And then look where you are now. But I mean, even kind of transitioning out of being an employer to kind of being, or employee, whatever the term is, as far as transitioning out of working for somebody to kind of completely working on your own and doing your own thing. How was that first year?
First year was rough. I was at the second gym now. A very nice girl who had her own gym allowed independent contractors to come. Yeah. Use her space and everything like that. So it was cool. It's exactly what I was hoping for. Like more freedom, more availability, like to do what I wanted to do. But when it's up to you to pull in clients, when it's up to you to do all this stuff on your own, it's tough. I was sleeping on the couch there in between clients waiting because I had like long breaks between people. You know what I mean? Like you're not always booked. You got to wait for people. But slow at first is good because then you get to hone your skill and you get to really go over time with the people. You get to really work on stuff with people. So being slow is a good thing at first because you really get to know each person. Rapport is really important. I like being in person more because that's where I get my energy. You know what I mean? Like even if I was a therapist, if I was a teacher, as a trainer, in person for me, for Tommy, has to be in person. I feel that with the person and I just get a better connection out of being one-on-one energy. That's what I like. So I've tried the online before. It's cool. It's good. It's another way to reach people. I like it more for when I do my more life coaching. Like if you were doing life coaching online, I like doing that more. But as far as training, ZikFit I've found has better one-on-one in person.
Okay. Was life coaching always something that you started within your first year, or did it start with just the personal training and then transition to the life coaching and et cetera?
That one lady who asked me to meet her that one time sparked the idea, but
Okay.
to actually offer it as a service didn't come around till probably like 3 or 4 years ago, where people were either a client who needed more, like they were already so happy with what they were seeing in the gym, but then outside of their gym life, they weren't time management, they didn't understand, or they weren't maximizing all their time or their potential. So we would sit down on the side and we would go over their schedules, their priorities, what they're doing, and how they can be more efficient. From there, I've seen people switch careers and they're so much happier that they took that leap. You know what I mean? Like the things that you know what I mean? So I'm a facilitator and I can make other people, like I think of like taking this and putting it in you and it makes you better. You know what I mean? So that's what I think of ZikFit, like taking my flame and giving it to other people and making them go out and doing it to other people.
I like that. That's what's up. And I mean, you probably see it so much from meeting with these people, and especially like physical exercise. It's something so I mean, at least with me, it's something so therapeutic, so mental healthy, and for the mental health as well. I mean, and also, I mean, you're very charismatic and you're a great listener, and then even kind of going along with your background from the mental health clinic with psychology, having a passion originally to kind of be an educator as well, but also still holding in on that too. I bet these people share things with you so much. So that kind of something that probably happened naturally and organically too as well. Because when you hear life coaches too, sometimes I remember, I think I saw something on TikTok or something, TikTok, social media, something along the lines of some young kid was talking about being like a life coach. And then the whole comment section was like, you haven't lived. You haven't really,
sure.
you haven't really done anything.
Definitely.
And then this is kind of more of like the pyramid scheme of like, I'm going to teach you kind of
sure.
how to wake up and do this and do that, rather than someone already coming to you, kind of developing a rapport relationship too as well. And you're like, well, what if I can suggest something?
Definitely. So as far as in session, it's nice because I'm more like that bartender, salon person giving that kind of therapeutic.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the nice kind of chit chat where they feel better when they left. You know what I mean? They got to blow some steam off physically, and they got to talk to somebody, so I can talk to you that way and help you. But then I was talking about more as a service. Some people like an additional thing where they will actually come for, I don't even call it life coaching because of the stigma for that. I call it transformation consulting because I think life coaching, if you're just trying to preach to somebody, any book can do that. You know what I mean? But I only do it because I didn't put myself saying I should do this, but I've had people from either work or martial arts or just life who are 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 asking me for advice or getting me. So like they're the ones who are older than me. So it's not like this young guy saying I know more than you guys. These people who have lived twice as long as me, enough of them have come to me. So I'm like, okay, maybe I have something to offer.
Yeah. It
wasn't me putting myself on like some kind of
no, exactly. I mean, it's something that happened naturally and organically too.
Exactly.
I mean, I like the way kind of you phrase it as far as a transformational.
It has to be consulting.
Yeah, consulting, because I mean that's pretty much
It's a whole overall thing. That's what ZikFit's all about.
Yeah, it's pretty much what it is. Someone wants to come to you to kind of transform and change. And I mean, exactly how you answered the question originally, where there's a problem at task and there's a problem at hand, instead of going on face value, how can we kind of go about it a different way?
Correct. And it all goes back to when I was starting the company and I said I didn't want to just do training. I wanted to use my psychology and I wanted to be a teacher. So that's where it comes to doing the extra stuff too, not just the working out with you, but also being able to help you with behavior, with there's lots of stuff that you learn in psychology for actual non-fluencies, just like how people communicate. Like you can learn a lot about how somebody's whether they're in the gym, if the workout is, you know what I mean? Like I can read that, or a person, you know what I mean? You can read stuff from body language and stuff like that. So I learned stuff from psychology that maybe gives me more of a overall look at things, because like I said, if somebody's already in great shape and they don't want to learn, if they don't want personal training from Tommy, they can get some other kind of service from ZikFit.
I liked what you mentioned as far as just doing all the extra work and little things too for the big thing as well. Did you find yourself doing all those things when your first year during the slow periods in between with clients, as far as just like trying to get more clients, how to figure out how to market? Because I mean, even originally before you took that leap of faith too, I mean, on your breaks, feeling different materials of the shirts, kind of doing the blog post too, really trying to still build the business. But within your first year, the slow periods, what were you trying to do to kind of continue and to keep this thing growing?
Well, that's when that was like the blessing in disguise, because I'm like, am I going to sit on my butt and just be here for a couple clients a day? Or is this when you're going to research marketing? This is when you're going to research how to do this and start teaching yourself. You didn't go to school for this, so you got to teach yourself how you're going to build a business. Mm-hmm. So all the time where I had all those hours, I was really just learning how to build up my social media branding, or I was learning how to get the apparel going, or the books. I mean, writing a book alone takes a year. You know what I mean? The first book took a year to write, everything put, and then you have to figure out how to get the cover. You have to figure out how to get it compiled. I went through Amazon for self-publishing. You got to figure out. So it's a process. So if I was busy that whole time, I wouldn't have been able to write the books.
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
So the books and stuff happened because I was slow. Dude,
let's talk about this book for a second. Because also, I love this picture so much, man. This is like something vintage that you'd find in a magazine or something, and it's just, I love it. Hey,
25-year-old Tommy.
Oh, hey.
So be better today than you were yesterday was the original motto for ZikFit. I've kind of condensed it now to better today than yesterday, just because less of a mouthful and it just rolls off the tongue better. But it's pretty much just my philosophy with ZikFit. And as I was saying, not everybody wants to come to ZikFit for personal training. They might want to become better, a better spouse, or they might want to become better at budgeting. They might become better. So as long as you become better at something when you go to bed each night, mentally, physically, spiritually, socially, professionally, then you're being ZikFit. You're getting better than you were the day before. So that's the whole motto of it. You can't just stay in the same place always, because then you're just going to become stagnant, and that's complacency is the biggest killer of dreams, they say. So you can't just stay still. You got to move forward, even if it's a baby step.
Comfort corrupts us all eventually.
Exactly.
That's why I ran 7 miles before sitting with you.
There you go.
And I'm feeling it now.
Good. That's why we're sitting.
That's exactly why we're sitting.
Should have ran and did the interview.
Oh my God. We should just, hold the mics
and
as we're running.
Yeah.
That has to be.
It'd be a short run.
That has
to be. Too hot.
God, Bless America. It is way too hot.
So this is when I was at the first gym.
Okay, yeah.
So that's when I was writing that.
What was your biggest challenge writing a book? Did you have kind of stuff where...
Well, it was nice that the blog was... That's what the whole point of the blog was, to get me ready for that. So this is blog content.
Yeah.
This is testimonials. This is personal stories from friends and clients who have been impacted by ZikFit. And then it's just my personal philosophy on different things, on different ways to improve yourself. It's kind of like my philosophy back then as a 25-year-old. So I should probably read it now and see how what I think now.
I'm going to pull something out of here.
Oh boy, let's hear an excerpt.
I'm going to pull something out of here and have you explain it.
Oh boy. What chapter are we in?
I'm not even going to tell you.
Okay, let's hear it.
There are moments in our lives when we are faced with choices that define our character. These moments determine who we are at our very core. Most of the time, these moments are very trying, and the outcome. And the outcome will affect us, possibly for the rest of our lives. That was under the Dig Deep section.
One of my favorite chapters. So I think it's true. I think we all come across battles in our lives, and I think some are more monumental than others, obviously. And everybody comes from different walks of life, but I think at our core, everybody knows the battles that they only know that they have. So we can either settle for them or we can face them, whether that's an internal problem we have, whether it's a job we don't like, whether it's a relationship we're in. We can't settle for things. We need to. That could settle. If you don't get out of a relationship or if you don't get out of a job, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. You might regret it for the rest of your life. So you got to stand in these circumstances where you're faced in troubling decisions. You know what I mean? Like if it makes you feel uncomfortable, like, am I doing the best? Am I reaching the best of my potential going to this job every day? Is this person that I'm with, spending my time with, are they making me? Am I around the right people?
Yeah.
Am I doing the right thing? Like we only get so much time here, so we got to really be honest with ourselves sometimes.
And you got to dig deep. I like that. I'm gonna do one more.
All right, one more.
Flipping through.
If you're trying to audition to be my audiobook narrator.
Oh, I'm failing. No, good Lord, no. Well, I like the way you write too. It's simple. I also read at a third grade level, and I also can't read
So
out
this
loud.
one might be.
That
We'll get to that one.
The children's book. Oh, my favorite.
That might be better. Your speed.
Although food is the most effective and natural method of receiving nutrients, at times we are required additional supplements and vitamins to make up for what is missing from our diet. Not only are supplements important for complementing our diets, they are also important for boosting the immune system and aiding the organs in functioning properly.
Thank you for that information, Jacob. So that's from the nutrition chapter, obviously, and that's just one of the informative chapters. So some of the chapters are more informative because I've had a lot of people who come with nutrition questions because that's a big part of the process. Not only for the physical part of us, but mentally when our gut isn't right, then our brain isn't right. They call it our second mind. So if the brain isn't right and the gas is not right. So I have a chapter in there about nutrition. And Jacob was just explaining that don't get everything in our diets all the time. So sometimes we go to supplements, but you got to know what you're taking because some things just out there. You got to please listen to, research what you're listening to, people, because there's just stuff out there that they just throw it out there and they don't even care what happens to the people that are listening to their advice. So do your due diligence and do some research on any supplements that you put in your body before you take it.
Well, that's why I like how you wrote it. I mean, it's more of like a reminder because some people talk about nutrition, diets, way of eating, to say the least, as it's like law. Like if you don't follow said keto diet, said vegan lifestyle, said whatever, or if you don't have all of these supplements in you, you're not going to be the healthiest you're going to be because it works for me, it should work for you, sort of thing. Instead, just be like, hey, you should understand the importance and value of supplements and vitamins and eating right and your relationship to your gut as well.
Correct.
So,
because just like personal training, I can't do the same. If you come in for a workout and then a 90-year-old woman comes in, I can't give you the same workouts. You know what I mean? It's personal training. Mm-hmm. Each person's different. Every person's diet is different, especially nowadays. People have so many restrictions, allergies, sensitivities. So how can I write a chapter telling you this is how you need to eat? What happens for me might not work for you. You might be lactose intolerant. I might have celiac disease. Somebody might have, you know what I mean? So everybody's a little different. Mm-hmm. So what the most important thing is that I would take from eating right and living healthy and stuff like that is listen to your body. You definitely have to stay hydrated because our body is mostly water. So you have to stay hydrated. That just keeps most of our basic functionings going.
And living here, good Lord, you got to drink that water.
Extra water.
Oh,
yeah.
My gosh.
But other than that, you just got to find what works for your body. You got to keep a proper, healthy body weight, be physically active, and just everything in moderation, like they say.
Yeah, and I like the way you kind of compared it to having a client who is like a 90-year-old, 80-year-old woman and someone who's like an 18-year-old kid and maybe an 18-year-old woman as well. It's all going to be kind of treated differently. And that's kind of how we kind of came cross paths too, because I was going to the gym as the gym you were personally training at or working out of at the time. And the thing I noticed about you, I don't even think I've ever even told you this, but you one of your clients, I believe he had cerebral palsy, or he just kind of
accident.
Yeah, maybe it was an accident, but I noticed his posture wasn't good at the time, and I remember you were working with him with like lunges, and it was like no free weight for a little bit, and over time his posture got way better. Form was incredible, and also the thing I noticed too was your patience with him, or just impatience in general with like all these other people. Like your vibe was always here. I mean, the moment like a new client came in the door, out of the door, whatever, you didn't have like deflate sort of thing. Where like, oh my gosh, that was a lot. You always kept it here, and that's who you are actually. So that's something where I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know if there whatever magic potion that you're kind of doing, sprinkling on the room or whatever, but that was something kind of I noticed was like your patience, the way you communicate with these people too as well, and it was visibly working. It was something that I actually got to see firsthand. So like having different kind of walks of life with clients, has your patience ever been tested, I should like ask it in that way? Or, I mean, where did the kind of the patience kind of come from?
The mental health clinic again.
Okay.
Gave me all the patience. If I didn't have that, I couldn't.
Really?
Yeah. If you can deal with certain jobs and certain things in your life, then you can deal with anything. So
Yeah.
if you've gone through the worst of the worst with, like I was saying, severe mental illness, homelessness, and if I'm in a gym in a nice town, what's the worst that I'm going to deal with? Nobody's trying to attack me here. Nobody's trying. You know what I mean? I have a picture frame on my desk at my job then because I was told might somebody smash it on my head or something. You know what I mean? So like in a gym, I'm in a good, there's music playing, I'm around good people. So what am I have to worry about?
That's a good point. I mean, even even that with the picture frame. So that was kind of my follow-up question, like your level of self-awareness too, because that was another thing as well, when it was just me doing squats in the corner before we even actually got to know each other. And I'm playing like Lil Wayne or just some like Chief Keef, just blasting through the Bluetooth speakers. And then you're looking and I'm just like, hey, I got someone coming. I'm like, yeah, man, I'll change the song. No problem sort of thing. I mean, some people don't kind of have that little bit of self-awareness where it's like, hey, maybe that person having a client come in, I'm going to kind of turn off the music before you even ask me to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the main things that I will always take from psychology classes was when you're learning to be a therapist, the word that always stuck with me was empathy. So empathy, I think of as putting yourself in other people's shoes. So for that specific example, if my mom or my grandma or somebody like that was coming in and or myself is playing rap or something inappropriate, I wouldn't keep it on for them. So I just would, you know what I mean? That's my situational awareness with that. But as far as situational awareness, if you're at a job and they tell you your lanyard snaps off because somebody might come up and choke you with it, you're always going to be aware. You know what I mean? If your job was for 2 years, always looking around a corner, somebody's might attack you. So then you get situational awareness wherever you go, you know what I mean? But also just martial arts, just always being an athlete, just being, keeping your head on a swivel is always a good thing. Just always knowing what's going on is always a good thing. It's not good to be oblivious.
Well, I can kind of relate to that because I always think about just creating content or creating like a piece of media or even just art that I want to share. And I kind of just think of it this way, if I'm comfortable enough of this being played on a projector screen with all of my family in the room, and if I'm like almost like up in front, like I'm like presenting it like as like a classroom setting,
Correct.
Am I going to feel comfortable?
Correct.
Am I going to be proud of this? Am I going to be happy? Am I able to be just like explain and just be like, yeah, this is sort of thing? Or am I just doing something for shock value or doing something that doesn't really like align with like my morals and values?
Exactly.
Yeah.
To me, integrity is everything. At the end of the day, you have to go to sleep and you have to be like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like you are always going to have that voice for yourself. So if you go do something for success or for something just outside of your values or outside of who you know you are, you're going to know that that's who you are.
Yeah.
So for ZikFit, I'm never going to do something for shock value just to get more followers, or you're going to get consistency, you're going to get reliability, you're going to get results, you're going to get all the stuff that I've been giving for 9 years. I'm never going to just become like some fad. I'm never going to jump into whatever the new phase is. You know what I mean? Like integrity is everything. You do what you do. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. You just keep doing what you do.
Absolutely. And that's kind of it's so easy to like see trends that pop up just online too, and just how everyone follows suit. Because I mean, some of them are super fun. Remember the Ray Schmurmer song Beatles, like the Frozen challenge stuff too. Super so fun. Cool. Yeah, everyone had like their own creative spin on it too as well. But now when you see just something that like kind of slightly works, or especially with the almighty algorithm that no one understands, I like look at certain brands and businesses. I'm like, why are you posting this? This has, or why are you kind of really honing in on this trend? Because also 2 months down the line, you're going to go back to that piece of content and be like, this is like so outdated. I mean, it's just along with kind of the whole presentation of your business. And I mean, it could be as simple as following a trend that was kind of cringy at the time, like looking back at it, or it could be something that's like you really lost your integrity, morals, and values just because you're chasing a paycheck. Correct.
Like as of right now, I can only speak from a small business company, so I can't speak for multi-million-dollar corporations and stuff, but I would assume they're either trying something new and they want to pull in a new audience, or they're just trying a new phase, or you know what I mean? But yeah, you got to stick to it. If this always worked for you, you might want to put your feelers out to try something, but you don't completely turn your audience. You don't turn on your audience to go for a new audience. You know what I mean? Like you
Absolutely, I
either
agree.
try to bring people in with you, but you don't turn on the people who built your brand and built you to be like, oh, this is what we do now. Sorry if you don't like it anymore.
Well, even relating it to, because I know that you love hip hop and you're very educated in hip hop too. I even had to challenge you a couple times. Nights here, we're just kind of listening to some music, and then I showed you. I think I showed you Yavo, and I think you're like, oh, he sounds like an Atlanta rapper, and I'm like, how do you know that already? And then he's like, well, because like his flow is this, that, and then you're even listening to his lyrics, like, oh, he's saying something along the lines of that. I'm like Googling him like on the side too. I'm like, damn, you are right. And I'm gonna triple check to see if you're right. Big Yavo, he has to be from Atlanta, and this is how this podcast works. I don't have Jamie in the corner. I'm like, yo, pull that shit up. Big Yavo, he is Alabama. I'm sorry, that was the one I was talking about. Alabama, the other A word, the other A place. But no, I mean, no, even relating it to hip hop and artists. Post Malone, when he got really popular with like White Iverson and Congratulations, Beer Bongs and Bentleys, that whole album. I mean, he's a Texas boy, and that's when you started when you started becoming like a household name essentially, and you start looking up like these YouTube videos. There's like videos of him when he was 16, little folk songs, and he always talked about how he wanted to write a country album, wanted to write a rock album, but he's like, I'm not going to just immediately turn my back on this fan base that just graciously blessed me and have been so happy with my music. So I'm going to kind of figure out what I've been granted with right now too. So that's, and seeing his journey has been really interesting, and exactly how, I mean, like he's growing as an artist, growing as a person, you get to see it.
Definitely. So I think you can just tell, as far as whether we're talking about music or just hip hop in general, every place has their own sound. So you can kind of tell whether it's in their lyrics or whether it's in their feel or whether it's in their sound. You can tell where they're coming from. So I'm sure when we were listening to music, you could tell from the beat, or like you said in his lyrics, they might mention their town or something like that. So you can just get a feel if the guy's from the South or the Northeast or the West Coast. So
who are some of your favorites
right now?
Yeah.
Or just in general?
Just in general.
Well, if you go old school, like when I was coming up, I started listening to, well, not old school.
Yeah.
We're not old school. We're not old enough to be old school, but the era that I came up with was more like Jay-Z, Ludacris, Missy Elliott, Outkast, 50 Cent, Eminem.
And that's stuff that still slaps. If you put that on into like any bar.
Bring up one album. Nowadays, I'll put one song and beat your whole album nowadays. Yeah. For sure.
Absolutely.
I could put Throwback any day. I'll put Throwback against new hip-hop any day.
Yeah. It's, well, I mean, there's, I think I heard a Jay-Z verse in a Pusha T song, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just so good.
Yeah, it's good. Well, if you want to say that real quick, we should do that real quick.
Yeah.
Jay-Z came up in the Marcy projects back then, and then he's just gotten now he just talks about Basquiat and so many. Do you lose your audience that you came up with? The ones we can't relate to, $1 billion this and billion. Yeah. Like it's cool. It's cool when you're like coming up for it and you're aspiring for it, and then but don't lose the people that were like, okay, we don't know what you're talking about anymore. So it just depends.
Yeah, and
don't lose who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And then I mean, sometimes though they might have something in their back pocket and they throw something out for the fans.
Yes,
you've seen it.
Yeah,
I know exactly.
I still listen.
I know exactly what you mean, because I mean you follow this person's journey, you kind of come up with them too as well. With like, I mean, you grow with their music, and then they make it. You're proud of it. I mean, even you look at it with like UFC with like Conor McGregor too. I mean, how do you like what? I forgot the quote where it's like, how can you wake up with grit and grind when you're sleeping with like silk sheets, sort of thing. I think that's
never let your fridge get full. Always have that hungry mentality.
Yeah,
always hungry, never satisfied. I love that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But who are some people you're listening to now, like kind of today? Not
nowadays. I do Kendrick Lamar, Drake, of course. Sad that people are just getting away from lyricism now, and it's more just about beats, because I like a combination of two. But now hip hop has become who's the best producers, it seems like. When I came up, the producers were amazing. Pharrell and Timbaland and people like that. And they were just the background. Like, they were just like the heart of the song. But now you hear the tagline of somebody who's about to like murder on the beat or somebody, and they're like, that's all kids care about. Like, who's the, you know what I mean? Take Keith. You know what I mean? Like, whoever the person is, that's who they care about. And then the song comes on and it's like,
yeah.
The beat was the best part nowadays.
Yeah,
so it's hard to find favorites.
I've been listening to Metro Boomin's album. It's like
people on there.
Heroes and Villains. Yeah, it's got the all-star lineup on it. The beats are so good too.
But as far as lyricism, I feel like it's hard to find great people anymore now.
Yeah,
Big Sean, I love.
Kendrick's really
Kendrick, always holds it down for the West Coast, but Big Sean, Drake. I wish there were some down south people, but there's not really any southern rappers that I love anymore.
Speaking of Drake, have you heard his AI
Oh,
songs?
sorry. Ace Hood from Florida.
Hey,
of course.
there we go. Yeah, or Tallahassee Pain, baby.
Yeah, T-Pain, of course. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, his recent album, or I don't know, it's not really a mixtape, but just he came out with collective songs of just covers.
Oh, I saw him at UCF, and he's so good.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
When he doesn't use auto-tune and he sings, he's like actually very talented.
Yeah.
Everybody knows him for his auto-tune. But, man, UCF used to put on such good concerts, and I would take full advantage. If you know me with hip-hop, I'm a huge concert person. Yeah. So I took full advantage of free concerts, $5 concerts. They had them. I was there sitting at the front door waiting, front row. I was at all those good shows.
Does a $5 concert even exist anymore?
I don't think so, but I saw Drake front row for $5.
$5 for
at
Drake?
UCF.
What?
His first album hadn't come out yet. I wasn't even a fan yet. Now I'm like, you know how but that's what made me a fan. Like, I was outside and everybody loved him already, and I'm like, I don't know about this guy.
Yeah.
And his stage presence and just the songs that he did have already were coming out, and I'm like, all right. And he was just like, I told the people around me how big he was going to be. I just knew that night. And now look at him. He's the biggest guy out there. It was crazy.
That is crazy,
yeah, the names I saw at UCF were nuts, and they were all front row because I would just wait there by the door for hours.
Yeah.
Everybody else would be in classes and stuff, and I would be standing out there in the freaking sun, and those doors would open. I would run to the front row, and I would be the first person there.
Hell yeah.
I love music, and I love concerts.
Have you heard his AI song, though, with, I think,
I don't do the AI stuff.
No, I mean, it's
cool, but it's weird.
No, it's super weird. It's gonna really shake up the music industry, sort of thing. But I mean,
I wish they would just like mush it and not even bring it into the.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think Universal just signed.
Especially you as a musician, how do you feel about it? You see how actors and everybody are striking. So Hollywood, so how do musicians feel about it? It's got to be annoying.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. It's. I mean, well, that's the thing. I mean, Drake has a song with Weeknd. The AI has a song Drake and The Weeknd, I should say.
Saying, like, why even bother listening to it? AI, I can go listen to it.
But that's, I mean, I listened to it just because I'm trying to understand the technology, especially as a musician too, and just kind of see how really good this is. And that song
is crazy. It sounds like a Drake song. I thought he says stuff that Drake would say.
Really good. It's crazy. But as far as like where does this take you as a musician? I think you really hones in more on the artist itself. I think live shows might even skyrocket more. I mean, even after COVID, I mean, live performances and live shows just kind of went off the charts too. I mean, look at someone like Taylor Swift is selling out arenas, and then people around the people that are not at the concert are calling like LAPD, thinking there's like an earthquake because people are stomping their feet so much. Yeah, because just the hunger and
there's nothing like a concert.
Yeah, exactly. The hunger and need for it. I think that might go up, but I think. I think it's going to get scary, and I think it's going to get pretty interesting, more than it already is now.
Yeah, I just think it's going to get ugly with like legal stuff and everything.
Oh
like
gosh,
that, so I wouldn't want to be a part of all that.
Well, I mean, even now as songwriters, I know. I mean, from my little pool of just networking with people that like
you know a lot of people.
Yeah, but I mean, I definitely don't want to kind of overspeak in certain scenarios, but in past years, I know like writing sessions with like speaking like the Nashville culture, at least like if like musicians are going to collab on a song or like do a writing session or whatever, just something as casual as this, guitar, whatever, pen, whatever, just do something like that, cool little hook, whatever. Yeah, we just co-wrote a song together, and it's done, produce it, maybe we sell it to somebody, yada yada yada, and some artist has it, but then we have like songwriting credits because we're songwriters.
Yeah.
Now, from what I've heard, there's lawyers in the room because that person's like, oh yeah, when we went to that major and minor chord in the bridge, that was my idea, and I want percentage on that song for that instead of because I brought more to that idea, and I contributed more to this, and it became something else, and now all the lawyers kind of killing the creative flow of just kind of the beauty of making a song. In a sense, I mean, it's changed a lot, but that's why I think the personality, the charisma, like the individual itself, I think that's going to be more in the forefront because I mean, everyone kind of says now storytelling is like the most important thing in the aspect of a video, which I think that's just really a buzzword. I think if you can kind of clearly communicate your message and your idea that's coming from an authentic place, I think you're gonna really hit it home hard.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just a quick side note, since you mentioned Nashville music and we're talking about hip hop. My buddy Matt, UG, he's a Nashville rapper. He's from down here, but
dope.
So he's blowing up in Nashville right now, and I'm very proud of him. And he was grinding on the rap scene before Zikfit, and when I was valeting cars, I was listening to Matt's music, and he very much inspired me. So I've always wanted to see him grow, so he's doing well. And I always think of him as somebody who's very creative, and I just heard you say Nashville music, and that's what I think.
That's sick. What are some of his songs?
My favorite song by him is called Up and Away, and I think it's could blow up on the radio. It's so good, and it's just like your quintessential song about like anybody who's grinding. This kid used to walk to the studio. If I could offer him a ride, I could. I was available, but this kid would like leave the studio, not sleep. He would like just walk home. And the sun was up, and he would just go home and just work on more beats and stuff. Like I've never seen somebody work as hard.
That's incredible.
Somebody calls me a hard worker, and I think of Matt. So like, well, that kid doesn't even sleep. So
and he's doing.
He's a beast.
He's
he's
doing good now.
Or just had his first kid. Did you have your kid, Matt? I'm not. But congratulations either way. He's going to be a father, or he is a father now.
I love it, man.
Yeah, he's a great guy and a great rapper.
Have you ever sat in on a studio session for a rapper?
Oh,
dude, they're cool, man. They're fun.
I know.
Yeah.
But I've been to a concert. I drove to Miami to watch him.
Yeah?
I had to.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
Yeah, and he killed it. He played that song there, and he just blew it away, and I was so happy I drove down there with. Yeah.
Damn, I want to check that out.
Yeah, Hugh G. I'll definitely send you some of his. I probably showed you some of his videos, but I'll definitely show you.
You must have, yeah. But relating music and like your passion with just kind of just the whole like just everything really with hip hop and like what it does with you and with just the way of life and relating it to your business with Zikfit and just do you listen to music when you're kind of doing personal training?
Oh yeah, I think music and working out or music in the gym culture is very important. Mm-hmm. I think it sets the tone, and I think it gets good energy, and I think it just depends on who's working the gym and stuff like that. But yeah, you gotta have music playing and stuff like that. Just get people feeling good because they might come in a bad day, and you need to have that energy going and stuff like that. These apps are cool because you can set playlists for like 130 BPM, 140 BPM.
Oh, yeah.
So you can set them if you want to spin, if you're doing running. You know what I mean? They have like specific things for like if we're gonna be doing HIIT, we can turn on a HIIT playlist. You know what I mean? They can do playlists for like.
Are they pretty good too? Some of the playlists. I've tried one. I'm like, this is. I just caught myself skipping like every song.
It's hit or miss. Sometimes you'll think it's good, and they'll give you like a list of who's going to be on there and stuff like that, and it'll start off good, and then you're like with your client in the middle of like an hour, and you're like, oh, this took a dive. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of good playlists, but how you can't always have a good hit. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Oh my gosh, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to like I always catch myself like I have my own gym playlist, which is like a lot of hip hop and a lot of like just old.
If I have if I get it, hip hop for sure.
Yeah.
If I've got the radio, then definitely going for some hip hop. But if everybody's in the room, then we go for whatever everybody likes.
Something, it's a little bit more
hip hop for me if I'm working out.
A little bit for the masses, absolutely. I gotta ask a question. What is this?
So this is I think I do some martial arts. I'm a student of Wing Chun Kung Fu, and this is called a Mukyanjong. It's a wooden dummy. It's a tool that we use in our style of Kung Fu that helps us with our technique and our form and our sensitivity. On the specific apparatus, we have a form that has 108 moves, and you get that in sections of like 8 or 9 different sections, and then you just perform, and it just makes you a better practitioner. It helps you with your distance and stuff. I like having it here because I learned it during COVID, and we had a school up the street, and fortunately, I'm an instructor. I've been teaching for like 3 years now. I'm coming up on my 6-year anniversary. But back then I was just learning this, and during COVID, you kind of just realize like, oh, time is short. You don't have stuff. So fortunately, I had a key to work on this. I'm like, I need to get one in my house in case anything ever happens again. So I got this here, and I work on it as much as I can, and I just I'm always constantly improving.
So why Wing Chun?
So Wing Chun, I had never heard of before. I saw a movie about it, about the teacher of Bruce Lee. His name is Yip Man, and he was amazing person, amazing martial artist. He went through a lot of stuff back in the day, but he passed his style on that's come down to us, and it's either the only style or one of the only styles known to be created by a female. So it's all about using your opponent's strength and force against them. So kids can do it, women can do it, older people can do it. out of shape people can do it, because it's not about being the strongest guy. It's about staying relaxed, being sensitive, and just handling whatever comes at you. Very efficient. It's a Southern style of Chinese Kung Fu. The creator of it was a Buddhist nun, and they say that she kind of took like the flashiness out of it and just took practicality and scientific stuff and just made it the most efficient style. So we just get in and we get out, and it's very effective. And I've never seen anything like it, and it's like gold. I love it.
So what drove you to that as far as
Style-wise?
Approaching like a martial arts? Because you're like the only person I know who really is.
That's what I'm saying. I never heard of it before.
I mean, I've heard of Wing Chun, but I've never heard of someone really dedicating to the martial arts and the practice and really being as committed as you are. Because I mean, usually when people like want to get into martial arts, I mean, it's like Taekwondo as a kid. I mean, jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and vice versa. So I don't know what kind of you're like Wing Chun is for me.
Yeah. So I knew when I was looking for a new fitness venture to take on, I'd already done 2 Tough Mudders. I had done a local sprint triathlon around here. I had done so many 5Ks, lifting. You know what I mean? I'd done all that before. So I'm like, what's the next thing?
I can absolutely relate to that. I mean, I'm between like Olympic lifting, powerlifting, and now I'm kind of on like this hybrid athlete kick. So yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like, what's good? Because I had done dance, yoga, lifting, all these things. I'm like, what's going to be the next thing to make Tommy like a well-balanced athlete and everything like that? So it was either going to be boxing or martial art. And I figured martial arts is the spiritual side to it too. So boxing's cool. I already had a heavy bag at my house in Orlando and stuff. And I feel like I knew the fundamentals of that already. But the spiritual side drew me in, and I knew which styles I didn't want to do. And then, like I said, I saw a movie about Bruce Lee's teacher, and then 2 weeks later, I signed up. And I've been doing it for 6 years.
And I just had no idea this was even in Jupiter.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So everybody knows about... I always think of it like, you know how... Now it's more popular, but you know how when we were growing up, soccer wasn't like popular in America?
Yeah,
like everywhere else in the world is popular. So Wing Chun is known in London. It's known in Brazil. It's known in China. You know what I mean? It's known in other countries. But when you're in America, you know, like you said, you know Taekwondo as a kid, or you know Jiu-Jitsu is blown up now. But as far as Kung Fu, up until 2 or 3 generations ago, if you weren't pure Chinese, you couldn't learn it. Bruce Lee was a quarter, like he wasn't pure Chinese, so he was like almost looked down upon for doing it. So it's grown since then. So now it's just now getting to a, if it was so hidden back, if it was so behind doors, now it's only becoming so well known. So movies are making it popular. It's the style that Bruce Lee studied before he created his own style. So he started with the fundamentals of Wing Chun, and then he went off into his own style and made it. They call him like the father of MMA. He started with something, but then he started adding other stuff to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but at its core, it's just based on the center line. All of our important things are on the center. You don't care about getting hit up here, but you don't want to get hit anywhere here. Using multiple limbs at times, 2 or 3 limbs at once instead of just trading shots. Economy of motion, economy of energy. You don't know how long the fight's gonna last, so you got to be relaxed and handle it. Just do what you got to do, and you don't stand on ceremony. You just handle the business.
It's funny that you mentioned Bruce Lee kind of being one of the starting, I don't want to say founders, but he really is like one of the people that started incorporating different like martial arts and kind of developing mixed martial arts essentially. And I can think like maybe like I can't think of the first like them by name, but one fighter in the UFC that kind of has like has used Wing Chun like a
couple guys do it, and I've seen a couple of guys using the dummy, and I'm sure they have like the principles of it, but from what I've seen, I haven't seen anybody use it as much as I'd like to.
Right, yeah, man, it's a
very cool style, and I would like to see it be used the way I'd like to see it be used. I haven't seen that yet.
I think we were watching a fight one time. I think one of the commentators said something about Wing Chun. You're like,
Joe Rogan said
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, and you're like,
I
don't think so.
Yeah, because he did like the slight little movement at it, but any notoriety is cool. Like at least it's got to get out there. You got to break through the noise, because otherwise people are always going to just keep signing up for the same styles. So I know that these things are out there.
Yeah, no,
because Kung Fu is just a umbrella of Wing Chun, Tai Chi, so many different things. You know what I mean? Talk about karate. I mean, karate comes from Kung Fu. Kung Fu is the predecessor, and then it all comes from there. So it's just an umbrella term. You know what I mean? So there's just many different styles, so you kind of can delve into whatever you like.
So now you're teaching.
Yep. So going on almost 3 years, and I'm instructor at the Jupiter School here, and then also in Palm City, we've got 5 or 6 locations under Sifu James Hinman, my teacher.
That's awesome. So so I mean, you could kind of explain like anybody can really show and join or.
Yeah, it's awesome. It helps you in every aspect of your life. You might come just for you might think you're coming for self-defense, but Kung Fu is really, I think it means way of life. I think that's what it stands for. Mm-hmm. And it really just bleeds into everything. It helps you. We were talking about patience earlier. Helps you with patience. It helps you make good decisions. It helps you stay calm in bad situations. At the end of it, after you've been doing it so long, it's like, oh yeah, and I can defend myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the original reason that you came was to defend yourself, but then they say the highest level of Kung Fu is being able to de-escalate stuff without even. So at the end of it, you can defend yourself, but you've met so many awesome people, you've become a better person. It helps you refine yourself into a better individual. And then at the end of it, you also have awesome Kung Fu.
Man, you truly are an educator, from just having the passion originally to be a elementary school educator to now kind of life coaching and personal training, and now with Kung Fu. Was that kind of the original plan with this book, to kind of educate kids, or just something that you want to kind of do something a little bit different from the first book?
Well, earlier I mentioned how I didn't want to narrow myself to a certain audience. Mm-hmm. And then I also said how I wanted to either be a teacher, and I always liked kids and stuff. So if I switched from marriage and family therapy, where I was losing the kids, I mean, I think marriage and family therapy is mostly going to be adults anyway, but I felt like I still wanted to hit kids somehow.
Right.
And so I had the kids boot camp, but again, not everybody can get to a boot camp. There's kids all over the world, so a book can do that. So I was like, I already have a book for adults, so if I want to reach that market too, I should reach out for kids too. So this book is called Survival of the Fittest, and it is illustrated by my first childhood friend, Jenny. She is an amazing illustrator. When I came up with the idea for writing a kid's book, there's nobody else I would have wanted to illustrate it. I almost like her illustrations more than I actually like my writing. She was the one. She's got 3 kids, and she was telling me the process of publishing, because I had already self-published my first book, and I wanted to have a bigger impact. And again, I went to school for psychology. I don't know anything about. I was never classically trained for writing. I never learned how to build a business. So everything I kind of did all these years was crash and burn, fail, throw it at the wall, see what sticks, and stuff like that. So Jenny said, "Why don't you try getting this one published?" She introduced me to the whole world of that cutthroatness, and
it's really that cutthroat.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Yeah, you send out stuff to these places. You might hear back from them weeks later, or you never hear from them. So you're waiting 6 months to hear back from people, and you never hear back from. You know what I mean? It's like she said, it's like discovered in Hollywood.
Oh wow!
So it's so she gave me this big book of all the publishers, and I went through all these, and I was sending excerpts, and so eventually she told me, if you do get picked up, you might have to scrap all of my illustrations, and I said I'd rather. Now, obviously, I ended up self-publishing again, but I told her if it became between scrapping your illustrations or getting picked up by a publisher, I would have stuck with her original illustrations and just grinded and built it myself, because. Doing something about your childhood friend, how cool is that? How sick is she?
I didn't know that, but dude, I
just saw her the other day with her 3 kids. She's doing so well.
That's awesome. It goes so well together, and I love the illustration with, like, is that supposed to be you?
So there's, probably can't see, but there's a little boy on the beach, and he washes on shore, and his name's Darwin, to go along with Survival of the Fittest, which is Charles Darwin's theory about evolution and stuff. So I was kind of just throwing that in there for there's a little Easter egg in there, you know what I mean? I throw little things in there throughout. And then he washes ashore on this island, and he comes across different animals, and each animal represents a different facet of fitness or well-being. So as he comes across each animal, there's interactive demonstrations at the end of each chapter. So for the snake, the gorilla, and the cheetah, there's exercises for the kids to follow along with, and it tells them, there's like diagrams for them to follow along with, and there's tells them how many reps and how to do them and stuff like that. For the sloth, he's rest and getting sleep and rest, so there's a bedtime checklist for the kids about turning their phones off 30 minutes before bed, and just having like how to get ready for bed and stuff like that. And then the old wise tortoise, Master Tafiti, teaches him about mindfulness and meditation, and teaches kids how to just relax and clear their mind, because they're always on screen time nowadays, so they need to just unplug, and Darwin has to use all these lessons that he learns from the animals, and he's got to figure out a way to get back to his family.
Oh, dude, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to read something. I want you to explain it.
Cool. Well, you're going to end up in the middle of the story, but yeah, let's hear it. I'll tell you where he is. I'll paint the picture for you.
Oh, I'll find something where it kind of makes
sense.
makes a little bit of sense, but also doesn't spoil.
Yeah,
much.
I don't want to spoil anything, but he's already washed up on shore, and
yeah.
he's coming across different animals, and they're trying to help him figure out how to escape the island.
Yeah. Your mother sounds like a smart woman, child. You should listen to her more often. You see, I may sleep anywhere from 15 to 20 hours each day, but a child of your age should be sleeping about 9 to 11 hours a day, explained the sleepy sloth.
So each animal, instead of just giving him like Gary the gorilla, I try to come up with creative names. So each animal has a different name from different cultures around the world. So Shu is the sloth, and I believe that meant air in Egyptian. So I was just trying to find different cool names for each one. So that what Jacob was just reading was Darwin and his Gamba the gorilla have come across a sloth, and his character kind of is very slow, and he's talking to Darwin. All of his words are dragged out, and Darwin's like, what is this? Like, he's like, who is this slow speaking character? And the character, you're supposed to read it as like very drawn out, and he's like a tired character, and he's explaining here that sloths sleep all day. They only come down to get food really quick, and then they go back up. I saw that in Costa Rica. They go back, use the bathroom, and then get back up so they don't get attacked by anything while they're sleeping all day.
Oh my God.
So he's getting ready to explain time to the kid, but he says he sleeps all day, but kids at that age sleep 9 to 11 hours, and it's about to lead into, because I don't want to tell too much of the story, but it just is about to lead into the bedtime checklist. It'll say, turn your phone off before bed, make sure your room is dark enough where there's not too much light, at a cool temperature. It just breaks down like what a good idea.
Yeah. No, dude, it's...
But the other ones are more active, like there's mountain climbers, squats, lunges, jumping jacks, push-ups. There's all kinds of, there's yoga stretches. So just different things, flexibility, calisthenics, mindfulness, all different things that kids need.
I'm going to read one more. Discouraged by the thought of being stuck on the island, Darwin stood up, turned around, and crossed the stream back to where Gamba was waiting for him. His head hung low. He had nothing to say.
So the second character the guide throughout the story is the gorilla Gamba, and he's like Darwin's friend, and he helps him. His chapter is about strength, so later on he teaches Darwin how to get stronger physically and mentally as well. He teaches him the idea of mental fortitude, and he teaches him that strength isn't just about building up your body, but also your mind as well. And obviously I try to make it for kids, so I'm explaining it for you guys, but in a kid's way. I explained it for pretty much any kids that think it's cool that animals still talk, but old enough where they're able to do the exercise. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So old enough where they can exercise and follow along, but not
Well, dude, I think it's cool because, I grew up with Goodnight Moon, and then now you have every sweet animal kind of explaining a different sort of...
So this is later on.
Yeah.
You've already got past... This is like late elementary school. You know what I mean? So now you can exercise. So Goodnight Moon's when you're learning to read. So now you're older.
Dude, I can't
You wouldn't be able to do this yet.
I can't read at all, so that's what I'm saying.
So start with this one. But what you were just reading was he had just learned from the tortoise about how far away where his parents probably were. So Darwin gets discouraged, but he's about to learn how to meditate, and he finds out that when you step back from things and you clear your mind and you think about things, he talks him through this, and he shows him how to do this, that you'll find a way to get around your problems, and he'll find a way to find his parents if he believes in it. So he was dejected, and he was walking back to Gamba at that time.
At any point doing these books, 1 and 2, do you have like any sort of negative thought in your head where you're like, why am I even doing this?
Of course.
You're like,
all the time.
Yeah, you're like, should I just stop?
Of course, all the time. Why am I writing a kid's book?
Yeah.
What if all my friends think it's stupid? What if nobody buys it? Why am I doing any of this? Why don't you just put all of your time into just getting as many clients as you can? Why don't you just go make as much, you know what I mean? Like, why are you trying to help kids out? Why? Because childhood obesity is rampant. It is so bad in our country. It was bad enough when I started ZikFit, so childhood childhood obesity has just gotten so much worse. We have to take a stand against it. So if I can write a book, if that changes one life, but I already know it's helped so many kids and stuff like that, it's a positive message. I only put the kids' book on paperback because they're always on screen time, so that's not available on Kindle, but this one is. So the kids have to actually have paper book, especially when I hear that kids have Google Chromebooks all day in school now. They don't even do pencil and paper anymore. They don't know how to write cursive. So if they read Tommy's kids' book, it's going to be a paperback.
Dude, I remember being in third grade saying, like, if you don't learn cursive, you're never going to get a job. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And then now I don't even think they teach cursive in school.
They don't, but it still teaches you things. You can't always do things on the computer. You got to learn how to do stuff still. We can't become so automated.
Exactly. And one of the best things I learned when I was like first playing guitar, I remember like learning a couple songs from a teacher that I just didn't care about at all. I'm like, why am I even learning this? And it's like, if you can learn this song that you don't like, imagine how well you're going to be able to learn songs you do like.
Yeah.
And be able to do things that you actually enjoy.
But even one of my clients, he's like 23 or 24. He's like, why do I need to write cursive if every business email I ever am going to do is going to be over the computer? And it just goes back to like
discipline.
Yeah, discipline. Yeah. Why do you do anything?
Yeah.
I can do the easy route for anything, but why do I go the hard route?
Yeah.
Why do I take the stairs instead of the elevator? You know what I mean? Like, why do I park farther away from the store and get those extra steps in every day instead of I can park right next to the door, but I purposely park away. You got to build your mind, callous your mind. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do those things. Otherwise, you're just going to become a soft little thing and Wall-E floating. You know what I mean? Wall-E, where everybody's useless. Like,
a teammate watched
exactly.
it. She would always bring up the movie, and then she's like, you got to watch it. Finally watch it.
Yeah.
It's super good.
So you got to just sharpen your mind. You got to always be sharpening your mind, your body. Otherwise, we rust. We get dull. We get boring. We get stagnant, complacent. We rust. So you got to do something every day to sharpen your mind, whether it's an app on your phone, whether it's something, you know what I mean? Wing Chun. You know what I mean? Something that keeps you growing. Otherwise, you're going to just become a blob on your phone.
So what are you doing now that's kind of different in 2023 to kind of callous your mind besides parking far and getting your extra steps in?
Well, always pushing myself with the martial arts, always advancing in that, always pushing myself. You know what I mean? You're always, you don't settle. I remember a client one time when I was at the first gym I was at in Jupiter. I was like, she's like, you still get sore when you work out? And I'm like, yeah, all trainers still, we always have to push ourselves. We don't just like, it's like when somebody sees a skinny girl at the gym, they're like, why is she here? It's like, everybody's got goals, everybody's got to maintain, everybody's got to keep pushing themselves. You're going to regress if you don't keep, even if it's maintenance, you got to always do something. But I don't like to break even on my days. I like to at least, but I try to go for a big shot. So even if I miss, I at least fall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, exactly. I mean, even like the skinny girl at the gym, or like the dude who already worked out, when he's like, you're done for the next 6 months.
Your life. You have to keep it going. You have to keep going.
And those people, I mean, everyone's there for such a different reason.
Correct.
I mean, for mental, for maintenance, or just even getting out of the
relief,
house. Yeah.
anything.
Oh my gosh. I mean, and even this, the band Bumpin' Uglies, the lead singer Brandon, I've been listening to him since I was in high school. And one thing I admire about him is, I mean, he will play to anybody like it's 10,000 people. I mean, if he's playing to 3 people, he's going to give you the same energy, the same effort, everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, speaking of you, even with your business, where do you want to take it from here?
Well, with the business from here, we're coming up on our 9th anniversary. That's going to be in September. I now have a trainer working for me. One of my clients, Meredith Baylor-John, she lost 100 pounds while she was with me. And that inspired her to do her own certification because she wanted to pass on what she learned from ZikFit, and she wanted to help others. Well, she didn't know she wanted ZikFit. She wanted to become a personal trainer. I said, why not just stick with what you know already? You know what I mean? We already have the culture. She knows how we do it. So she's an awesome addition. She's everything that I can't do. She's like the
yin to your yang.
Yes, exactly. She does so much more than that even though. So she's like step ahead of me. She'll like all the stuff I had, she makes better. You know what I mean? Like she knows how to make things better. That's what you need. You need people around you that they don't make you worse, they make you better. They should stress you, they should complement your life. And I'm fortunate enough to have found somebody who had loyalty and stuck with me, and she's only making us better. So as a team, she's killing it. She's already getting great testimonials as a trainer. So as a team now, we're going to be growing. We're coming into the 9th year now. I'd like to get more into, now that COVID has dissipated and things are more open. Schools are getting back. I want to get into assemblies again. I did one at my elementary school back before then. I mean, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I got to speak in front of the kids and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I didn't have the book then, so I want to start getting the book out there more.
It's so nice having like a tangible thing to you go somewhere as well.
Exactly.
I mean, even if I'm playing music somewhere, if I don't have a damn sticker, man, I wish I had a sticker just to be like, here you go.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
And then this most recent school year at my high school, I just started a college scholarship for a graduating student from Jupiter High School where I graduated from. So I wanted to pay it forward because I've always thought of ZikFit as a way to give back to people too. Because like, what's the point of attaining if you're only going to keep it for yourself? I never understood that. Like, you want to sit in a cave with all your gold, or do you want to give it to everybody around you? You know what I mean? You can't take it with you.
I mean, we even talked about that before, press and record, about just my relationship with just certain niches in the photography field of like doing weddings, or like I don't really kind of do weddings, but if I have a close friend that needs to kind of do a wedding and they've exhausted every option, I'm like, you know what? It feels different because I'm helping a friend sort of thing too, even if it's like an extreme discounted rate to alleviate stress in a certain way. So I mean, the ability to have that option is great, and then the fact that you can recognize that too, it's just like, what am I doing? I need to be doing something more.
Exactly. So with ZikFit, I kind of saw that as a way to exponentially reach out and help more people in my community because I grew up here, so I like giving back here. So I've always sponsored the 5Ks, or I do stuff like that. So moving forward, like you asked, I want this. I just started the scholarship last year, so I want the scholarship to be it's going to be an annual thing, but I want to eventually reach multiple recipients with larger amounts. So it was one student with an amount last year, but from now on, I want my scholarship to grow in the amount of recipients and the amount of money that we give each year. Eventually, maybe by the 10th anniversary, so maybe by next year, I want to do my own 5K, ZikFit 5K for mental health awareness, tie it all together again, bring it back to my roots and give back to psychology. So I already have a organization in mind where I'd like to raise money for, and I know this organization that's in communities all over, and I would just give it to the Palm Beach chapter. They came and trained us at that mental health. So I've had past experience with this organization, so I'd like to give. They're called NAMI, NAMI, and they give free help to families and people. Like, even if I'm not the one with the mental disorder, if my family needs to know how to deal with somebody with a mental disorder, they have classes for families to go.
Yeah.
So that's all free to people. So I would like to do the 5K and give to them so they can. That's who I want to do that for eventually. And then just book sales, get the kids, get the books in hands, and then just keep reaching out and helping more lives. That's what ZikFit's all about. I said I wanted to help one person when I started at ZikFit, and I've helped tons more than I ever imagined, and it's only been 9 years, so just imagine where we're going.
Yeah, dude, I'm interested in what the third book's going to be about.
The idea's there. The notes have compiled, but there's no I know what it's about, it's just not time for it. That's going to be down the line about my philosophy of how to do it.
Okay. Nice. Well, dude.
So I haven't got there yet.
Yeah.
So this might be part of that chapter. This might be a chapter in that book someday.
Oh, geez.
I'm building that book.
Yeah. I thought it would be great. It's just writing a book like 10, 20, and then 30. And then when I turn 30, release it. And just kind of talking about like your adolescent years, kind of like your 20s, and then what being 30 means and looking forward with it. I don't know. I like just started reading like my first book in like the longest time by Rick Rubin, The Creative Act, The Way of Being.
I know I need to borrow that from you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's
a pile of books. You asked me how I get better. I'm constantly reading. And when you said you're going to let me borrow it, I need to get through my pile first. But I definitely want to borrow that. Because Rick Rubin is awesome.
I'm at like the tail. Speaking of
legendary
music producers, dude. I'm like the tail end of it. I'm taking it piece by piece because one, I have the reading level of a third grader.
Yeah,
but
so I'll finish my pile before by the time you're ready to give it to me. I'll be ready.
Exactly.
Cool. Sounds good.
But also too, it's great because I mean it's just kind of talking about like being comfortable as a creative and an individual, and like these ideas and these thoughts that kind of rattle in your brain, and it's not abnormal to have. It's this is kind of part of being a creative and just learning how to nurture certain ideas into other ideas, and then even kind of compartmentalize and take action on what not. It's a really cool book, and that's the thing. Like I'm trying to piecemeal it in certain ways too. Where if I'm like even the other day, where I read a chapter and I'm like, I gotta pick up the guitar, and I wrote a song within like 2 minutes, and it's my favorite song I wrote.
That's what I'm saying. You asked me in the beginning if I thought I was creative, and I said everybody's creative if you spend the time to actually nurture it. Like you could have just read that book and then put it away, but you wrote a song. You could read as many books as you want. The other day, somebody's like, "Oh, do you want to borrow this book from me?" I'm like, he knows what he needs to do. Another book telling him how to do it another way isn't going to make you do this. You know, you need to make your bed, make your bed. A book telling you how to make your bed isn't going to make you make your bed. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, just do it.
Yeah.
If the book isn't a new idea to you, or if it's not making you think a new way, if you're like, no, I need to read the 10th self-improvement book to, you know what I mean? Like, there's not, you know what I mean? Like, you can get new ideas, but you still need to pull the trigger yourself. You need to do it. You need to delve into what makes me a creative. I'm not a guitar, I can't play, but I can dance. You know what I mean? You might be able to dance, but you can play. You know what I mean? So, like, if neither of us do that, then we're just going to be like, oh, I wish I was in a band, or I wish I could dance in front of thousands of people, but we've both done it.
Exactly.
We pulled the trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to do that.
Exactly. And then even leading up to pull the trigger, or even leading up to kind of take that action. I mean, all the thoughts, all the fire that's burning in your head. I mean, the moment that Zik Fit like popped in your head, you knew. And
I haven't stopped in 90. Since that moment, I haven't put my.
Yeah.
I just kept running since then. Yeah.
And you knew it. You jumped on it, and you charged it. I mean, there's been so many like kind of half song ideas. Well, take something, put it away, and then Rick Rubin's book even talks about that too. Which I mean, like it's not it's not a book club, but it's a book that really kind of taught me just to think and understand, and it's okay to have the nonstop brain working in a creative way.
That's what most geniuses are.
Yeah, well, I'm not one of that. But speaking of geniuses, and speaking of someone like yourself, this is my transitional way to kind of, I always ask this last question to everybody. If someone listened to this from front to back, A to Z, listen to this whole conversation, what is like one major takeaway that you'd want someone to kind of have, or one thing to kind of bring it all home with?
Whoever's listening to this, you know who you are and what you can contribute to the world, and there's not one other person in this world that can do that like you can. So you can either dive into that and hone it and become the best version of yourself, and by doing that, you're going to improve everybody around you, or you can just keep thinking about it and just let another day and a week and a month and a year and a decade go by and you never did it, and then you're going to wish you did it. So pull the trigger. And if you don't know how to do that, you make a plan, you get the steps ready, and then you execute. But don't keep waiting. Do it.
Don't keep waiting. Do it. Well, dude, we did it.
Yes, sir.
We did it.
Thank you, brother.
Dude, no problem, man.